Video and 911 calls take us back to a chaotic bus terminal shooting in Syracuse. The suspect was a man who was once involved in a jail fight with former NFL Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez. This shooting happened in May of 2020. A bus from Boston to Toledo stopped here because of mechanical problems. Andrew Booker of Massachusetts was an agitated passenger on board. He would then open fire inside the terminal, striking 2 people, including a security guard who was helping to get people to safety. Booker will now serve 18 years in prison. For the first time tonight, investigative reporter Mary Keeler takes us inside that terminal.
Prosecutors gave me the video evidence revealing the frantic moments inside the bus station where Andrew Booker arrived and started shooting at people at the Regional Transportation Center in Syracuse. You can see 32-year-old Andrew Booker on the phone while running around inside the bus hub. We now know it was Booker himself who called 911.
I got an emergency. I'm at Syracuse bus station. I just shot 3 people. There's about 7 more about to come inside and try to shoot me again. I need help. I need emergency help. I need emergency help right now. I need emergency help right now.
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Andrew Booker. I'm at the Greyhound Trailways. Information, the Greyhound Trailways.
Jahtheel Selmon, a bus terminal security guard, was a victim and a hero. He was working to keep people away from Booker when he was shot. Listen to his 911 call after he was shot.
I'm the security guard. I'm at the Greyhound bus station. I just got shot.
Okay, hold on one second. Do you know who did it?
It's a guy. He's in the building right now. I need the police up here now.
They're on their way there. Where have you been hit?
I got hit in the stomach.
The dispatcher stayed on the phone with Selmon until police got there.
He's in the building right now.
Okay, they're on their way there. Okay, where are you exactly?
He's pointing the gun towards the front of the building.
Where are you exactly?
I'm outside.
Do you see the police pulling up?
No. I hear him. He's running now.
Booker still on the phone shouting he shot Selmon.
I shot the security guy. I shot the security guy.
More than a year later, Booker looking at the security guard feet from him again, this time in court, this time apologizing for what he did on that crazed night in May 2020.
That day, I was scared myself. You know what I mean? I made some decisions that I have to live with. I want to apologize to you. I look in your eyes, let you know that.
Selmon has recovered from his injuries, and prosecutors tell me without the plea deal worked out with the judge, Andrew Booker was looking at up to 40 years in prison.
Syracuse firefighters have been at Destiny USA since before 7 o'clock tonight. A fire on the roof of the sprawling mall complex forced the entire place to be evacuated. CBS 5's Samantha Croston is with the Live Eye in Syracuse tonight.
Well, the good news is that Syracuse Fire Chief John Kane says that nobody was injured. He also says something he's proud of is that members of his team were here within 3 minutes. He says that's a great response time, but there were some complications while putting out this fire. At 6:35, the Syracuse Fire Department started getting 911 calls about smoke billowing from the roof of Destiny Mall above the Cheesecake Factory. Deputy Chief Kane said there were a few things that complicated the response to a fire at one of the biggest malls in America. It started with people not taking the fire alarm seriously once it started ringing.
When we got here, there was no active alarm. We had smoke visible. We went ahead and had somebody activate the fire alarm system, pull a fire station. And the audible alarm, prompted some people to leave, but not everybody.
Deputy Chief Kane said the alarm had to be manually tripped because the fire was on the roof, so the interior alarm system was not triggered. But when they got to the fire, another big problem. 2 of the close fire hydrants were out of service.
But the 2 that we would have used initially, which were in close proximity to the building, were just not in service at all. They provided us with no water, so the water department will have to address that.
Kane says that it did not slow things down significantly, but it forced them to have to adjust. All this for a fire that ended up also requiring 50 firefighters at the scene and a second alarm, meaning 2 additional engines and an extra truck company were needed.
We would always encourage people to leave the building if the fire alarm goes off for safety reasons.
And inside the mall, confusion. Christmas shopper Emily Paternoster, who was in the mall at the time the fire began, says initially she did not know what was going on and was imagining worst-case scenarios.
Like, I thought there was a shooter or something, like we were gonna die. And then once we got into Dick's and I realized there was a fire, I was like, oh crap, we really gotta go.
Now, initially, Chief Cole had said that there was not going to be, or excuse me, I should say that Destiny Mall would reopen, but since then he has told me that it stayed closed and will remain closed for the rest of the night.
A new system could end major disruptions to education caused by COVID-19. Schools are evaluating whether they could run a test-to-stay system that would help keep unvaccinated kids in the classroom instead of sending them home to quarantine. If a child is vaccinated, there is no need to quarantine. Our Connor White joins us live in the studio tonight with what this new program would look like. Connor?
Amanda, it's an attractive system for both parents and teachers, as it would keep kids that would normally have to go home to quarantine in the classroom after an exposure, provided they test negative daily. But actually getting the ball rolling is going to take a few different things of school districts. They're now evaluating that to look at their logistical hurdles. When Liverpool Schools tells parents a student needs to quarantine, the superintendent says they typically get a question in return.
A couple people reach out and ask, what's the opportunity for testing out?
There isn't one, but that could change. New York State is now allowing for a test-to-stay option, allowing asymptomatic kids to avoid quarantine after an exposure with a daily negative COVID test.
We're eager to understand and learn more, I think is where we're at.
Districts met with Onondaga County health officials this morning, learning the hurdles they'll have to get over to make test-to-stay a reality. They'll need to send an application to New York State to get approval to run a lab on site, plus get their plan approved by the county health department.
You think of it as, oh, it's going to keep more kids in school, but then we also have the back end of it where, many districts right now have multiple classrooms that are out quarantined.
The Syracuse Teachers Union president says big districts have big logistical challenges. Liverpool and Syracuse could have to test hundreds of kids each day to avoid quarantines.
It would be difficult to work out all the kinks and ensure that we have staffing in place to roll out the testing.
Both Capsello and Dr. Potter say it would be a huge benefit to keep kids in the classroom.
Anything that we can do to keep kids in school and test to stay is an example of that. Is a positive move, in my opinion.
Jordan Elbridge Superintendent Jim Froyo says with a smaller student body, they're hoping to get this up and running as soon as possible.
We are able to test all of our students that go on quarantine. We have the capacity to do that. And so I'm excited to get moving forward with it.
Governor Kathy Hochul says the state has purchased 1 million antigen tests that will be made available to the school districts that want it, but with over 700 districts statewide, it's unclear how far those tests will go. Now, when it comes to schools here in Onondaga County, it's unlikely we'll see test-to-stay coming until January. That's the earliest we could see it for most districts. But Jordan Elbridge is hoping to do it in the next couple of weeks. They got their applications into the state in November.